Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. In this episode, I am addressing how to stop binging on sweets. We're going to talk everything about the mindset and ways to incorporate it without overdoing it. And then even some maybe structural things that you can implement in your nutrition plan that will actually help you crave them less. So first things first, we always need to address your mindset. If you don't believe that sweets can be part of a healthy diet, then you're automatically going to feel guilt and shame for eating it. And if you've listened to my podcast before, then you know that with guilt and shame, nothing good really ever comes after that. Either extreme restriction or the screw it mindset or the F it mindset kind of pops in, and it becomes, you go back into that all or nothing mentality. Okay, so I need you to understand that a healthy diet is a balanced diet. And if you can't learn to incorporate sweets when you want them, then your diet is never going to last in the long run. So therefore, any results that you achieve on it or you're striving for, if you get them, they're not going to last. Okay, so the first thing we really need to do is I need you to understand that it is okay to eat sweets. Sweets can be a part of a balanced diet. So obviously, we know that if you only eat sweets and you don't eat any, nutrient dense foods and, balanced meals, then obviously that is true that in excess, refined carbohydrates or refined sugars can lead to diabetes and a whole slew of different health conditions. But that's not what we're talking about, right? You know that all or nothing doesn't work. So stop pretending like you can never eat sweets again and be completely fine with it, because that's exactly why you keep binging on them in the first place. You get the opportunity to have it, and now it's a free-for-all, okay? So number 2, I need you to, before you are going to eat sweets, so say somebody offers you a donut or some cookies or a cupcake, whatever it is, I need you to give yourself permission to eat them and to consider intentionally incorporating them once per day, either with a meal or after a meal. So once again, if it's the only thing that you're eating and you're not eating balanced meals, then it's going to be really hard for you, especially if you're hungry, to stop with just, one donut or stop with just 2 cookies or whatever it is. So you need to give yourself permission before and be intentional about it and pre-portion the amount that you want. And listen, this part is important. It's not what the serving size says. So maybe in your mind, you think that you, quote unquote, should be okay with just eating 2 cookies, right? Or maybe you think that you should have half a donut instead of a full donut. Or whatever you put in your mind, you should have only a half a cup of ice cream, which who can have just a half a cup of ice cream? Can we just talk about that for a second? Because that's what the serving size says, right? So be really honest with yourself about how much do you want to have? How much do you think is going to satisfy your taste buds? And how much do you feel is going to make you feel like, you know what, that was a good portion. I didn't overdo it where I was sick, but I didn't have so little that it was just like a joke, And honestly, guys, this answer can be different depending on the time of day, depending on the time of, where you are in your cycle. Just the amount of stress you're under, this can vary, and that's okay. So sometimes you might be okay with 2 cookies. Other times you might need 3. Sometimes you want a whole cup of ice cream. And then maybe occasionally you're like, you know what? When I have the half a cup, but I add some fruit to it, I'm pretty good. Okay, so that's the second part to it. The third part, and this is really important, because when somebody eats sweets, because of that guilt and shame, and they feel like they're not allowed to have it or they shouldn't have it, they will eat it very, very quickly, almost like they're trying to hide it. And this is where we really need to take the time to slow down, because as you guys know, or hopefully I think you understand or know, is that, when you're eating something that's sweet, you're not eating it for the nutritional value, right? You're eating it purely for the enjoyment, and that's okay, right? If we're defining health, your health is not just your physical health. Your health is addressing both your physical health and your mental health. And sometimes a cookie just saves the day, okay? So if we are really focusing on enjoying the food, because that's the reason why we're having it, then we want to actually enjoy it. And the best way to enjoy our food and our meals and our treats is to eat them slowly. Okay. And if you need help with this, the thing I will tell you to do to help you eat slowly is to use your 5 senses. This will help you to eat more mindfully. I'm going to talk in a future episode about ways that you can eat more mindfully, but this is one thing that you can do is using your 5 senses. So before you even, let's use the cookie for example, since that's what keeps coming up. Before you even eat the cookie, smell the cookie. What does it smell like? Is it chocolate? Is it dark chocolate? Is it white chocolate? Is it white, my sister's favorite, white chocolate macadamia nut? Is it nutty? Like, what does it smell like? And that in itself can be super soothing. So take in the smell of the food. Then look at it. Take a look at it. What are the colors? Maybe it's white, maybe it's brown, maybe there's rainbow sprinkles, maybe it's looks like kind of lumpy, or maybe it looks smooth. Take a look at it and just start to notice the color. So you're using your eyes, right? Then the best part, taste it. What does it taste like? Is it sweet? Maybe it's salty sweet. Maybe you have like a peanut butter chocolate or something like that. Maybe it's salty sweet. Maybe it's like buttery sweet. Maybe it's like a sugar cookie. Maybe it has, I don't know, some people like spicy things in their cookies. So what does it taste like? Take in that taste and use your taste buds. What does it taste like? And then the second sense, the fourth sense is to use your ears, right? So far we have using your nose. So what does it smell like? Your eyes, what does it look like? Your tongue, what does it taste like? And the fourth one is your ears. Do you hear a crunch? And sometimes maybe these foods don't have a sound to it, but maybe you can hear it going down your throat. That's another thing for feeling. You could also feel it going down your throat. But for hearing could be, is there like a crunch or is there a slurp? It could also be focusing on maybe around the room, like what you hear. But I think that because we're talking about eating the sweets without binging on them, it's more important to focus on if the food itself makes a noise. Okay? And then, I didn't talk about feeling. That's what it didn't come up. And the fifth one is, how does it feel going down? So what does it feel like going down your throat? You could also feel it, like you can touch it. Like, what does the texture feel like? You can do that. What does it feel like in your mouth? That sort of thing. And really, that will help slow you down, and then will really help you to enjoy it. Okay, so those are the basics ways. If you want to enjoy sweets without binging on them, I'm just going to quickly go over. You have to change your mindset, give yourself permission to eat them, and then consider pre-portioning out the amount that you really want, not just what the serving size says. And then the other thing I didn't say about that is then put the rest away. So don't expect to have a box of cookies in front of you and then, quote, only take 2 and then keep the box in front of you like you're gonna grab for more. That's normal. We are humans that when we see something, we want it, right? So just put it away, out of sight, out of mind, after you've kind of already decided how much you're gonna have. And then if you decide that afterwards you're gonna want some more, maybe wait 20 minutes, okay? And then the last part is to eat it slowly. Eating it slowly will also maybe help you realize like, I'm actually full. And eating sweets, actually eating anything after fullness never feels as good as when you're actually hungry. So that's a good point. Now, quick little tips where if you tend to crave a lot of sweets, I know people say that like they love sweets, this is the hardest thing for them. I think we have to really address kind of what your diet looks like. And when I say diet, I mean just the foods that you eat in a day. And I want you to make sure that you're incorporating complex carbohydrates because our bodies are going to talk to us. So if we're not giving it what it needs, it's going to yell for what it wants. That's not my quote, by the way, but it's a good one. If you don't give your body what it needs, it's going to yell for what it wants. So make sure you're incorporating complex carbohydrates like oatmeal, potatoes, sweet potato or regular potatoes, quinoa, beans, chickpeas, what else? Whole grain bread, squashes, like winter squashes, like basically carbohydrate starches that contain dietary fiber that help with fullness, and they'll also help with your cravings. Now, if you are also incorporating about 20 grams of protein at each meal, that too will help with cravings. And both high fiber foods and high protein foods help with satiety and help with cravings. Okay. So that's really, really important. And I would just, make sure too that you're getting adequate sleep, because if we're not getting adequate sleep, so that 7 to 9 hours a night, then your body's going to crave more sugar because it's looking for energy, and sugar and sweets are the most immediate form of energy. So make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you're eating about 3 balanced meals a day. So incorporating some protein, make sure there's some fiber in there, complex carbohydrates, stay hydrated with water, but that's not really related to sweets and stuff like that. But that, I think, in itself is going to really, really help you. And you'll start to notice that you actually don't have as many cravings. Obviously, incorporating veggies and, fruit. Incorporate fruit, because very often, if you want something sweet, fruit is totally okay to have in a balanced diet. In fact, I don't even know why I have to even argue that people are afraid of fruit. It's so sad. But so making sure you're eating, balanced meals, that is going to really ensure that you don't have these intense cravings for sweets. Also, if you're in an extreme calorie deficit, that's also going to increase your cravings for sweets, because your body is like, I need energy. Calories are a unit for energy. If you're not giving your body enough of it, it's going to feel threatened, and it's going to want the quickest source of it, okay? So if your goal is weight loss, then yes, you need to be in a calorie deficit to achieve that. But if it's too extreme, it's only going to bite you in the butt in the long run, okay? So make sure you're eating 3 balanced meals a day, getting adequate sleep, including some fibrous foods, complex carbohydrates, high protein foods. That will probably help. And if it doesn't, don't worry. I'm here to help you. So feel free to email me, tipswithtony@gmail.com. Maybe send me, a usual day of eating for you. Let me know what it is, and I'll try to help you figure out kind of where, maybe if you're missing any nutrients in your diet, and that's why the sugar cravings are coming up, or if I see that there's like a mindset shift that needs to be made, and maybe just listening to this podcast isn't quite doing it, I'll point you in the right direction. Okay. If you found this episode helpful, feel free to take a screenshot of it, share it on your story, tag me at Tips with Tony on Instagram, or the Tips with Tony podcast. Like I said, you can email me at any time with follow-up questions or feedback, tipswithtony@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.